Alright, free agency is like 8 months away, and I know even thinking about it right now is ridiculous. But I want to make this video so I can see how good or how bad, most likely how bad, my predictions were 8 months ago prior to free agency. Because the NBA changes a lot. Tell me right after the 2017 finals that Kyrie Irving would be traded just 2 months later upon his request, and I'd call BS. But nonetheless, y'all see the title. It's pretty self-explanatory. Roll that intro.
I'm on my way to an island and I'm popping shit at the pilot. Niggas be broken, be sobbing, but still talking shit like they violent. Niggas is broke.
But before we get started, let me shout out the sponsors of this video, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an app that gets all the prices from all over the web and gets you the best deals for whatever event you want to go to. They show you a map of where all the available seats are. The good ones are marked with green and the bad ones are marked with red. And you can even check what the seats are going to look like before you even go. Use code BSOS for $20 off your first order. So I know there are going to be a lot of players going into free agency next year, but I'll only focus on 4 because I don't want to make this video too long. But I also want to go as much in depth as I can in the 8 months prior to free agency prediction video. Let's start off with Paul George. Now, Paul George has already said that if the Thunder do really good in the playoffs, that he'll stay. After the acquisition of Carmelo, the thought of Paul George going to LA sort of died down because many people, including me, thought that this Thunder team was gonna do damage. But so far, they've been struggling. They don't know how to close out games, they choke leads, and they're 7-9 as of the making of this video. Now, do I think this will continue? Now, I do think at some point the Thunder will get it together and figure out their style of play and be the team we think they're capable of. But here's the thing, after seeing how the Timberwolves have been looking like, after seeing what the Rockets have been doing, heck, the Spurs are still the 3rd seed in the West without Kawhi. And Kawhi is coming back soon, apparently. I'm not sure that even if they click, that they'll necessarily beat those teams. And I think for Paul George to stay, it would mean either one of 2 things. Either 1, they make it to the conference finals, or 2, lose in the second round in the hard-fought 6 to 7 games against one of the teams I just mentioned, or run into Golden State in the second round. Again, the playoffs are so far away. I know that, but just to remind everyone, this is simply a prediction video nearly half a year in advance, actually over half a year in advance. And it might not even be Paul George's or Russ's or Melo's fault that they lose. It most likely will be Billy Donovan, as ever since he came as the head coach of the team, Donovan has yet to find out how to properly use his guys, and essentially he just relies on the raw talent to beat teams. So I do see Paul George leaving, and I see him going to the Los Angeles Lakers. Look, let's keep it 100 here, man. I really do think the only thing keeping Paul George from going to LA was the fact that he really had no control over wherever he was going to get traded to, and just the possibility of OKC being too good to leave. And it still has that potential. I just don't think it's gonna reach that potential, me personally, because of Billy Donovan. But again, we're like 7 months out. I don't know if he's gonna go to LA specifically, but if I were to bet right now, because of Billy Donovan, I would bet for Paul George to leave. Next up, we got Chris Paul. See, Chris Paul, man, I think he put himself in the best situation he could by going to Houston. He's on a contending team, still trying to chase a championship this year, so it's not a wasted year. With a combination in James Harden and himself that this league has not seen yet, where 2 of the best point guards in the league are playing alongside each other. But he still has that 1 year left on his contract because it was a sign and trade, so he's not locked in case he wants to leave. And I'm just gonna say it outright, man. I think Chris Paul will stay as a Houston Rocket, because the only way I see Chris Paul leaving is if LeBron leaves and they cahoots it up like it's 2010, like, you know, what LeBron and D Wade did, assigned to one destination. However, the only places I can see that potentially even being possible is New York, and I don't think LeBron will ever sign with the Knicks after the whole Phil Jackson debacle, and the Lakers. But that would mean the Lakers will probably have to get rid of Lonzo Ball and bring in Chris Paul, and I don't think they'll do that. And besides that, basically every team in the league is either too bad for Chris Paul to go to, or already has a point guard, except for the Spurs. But Chris Paul has already said in an interview, or, you know, a little documentary he did with ESPN, that he fears that Greg Popovich will retire soon, so he doesn't want to commit long term to the Spurs. And I truly do believe that Chris Paul also wants to expand his game and show people that he's not just this fancy dribbler that can pass. I think he does want to show that he can score with the best of them, that he can play off ball, and what better place to do that than Houston. So I do have Chris Paul staying as a Houston Rocket. Next up, we got DeMarcus Cousins. In all honesty, I think Boogie's decision boils down to if they make the playoffs. And so far, the Pelicans are 9-8 and are the 7th seed in the West. Now, mind you, this is before OKC presumably gets it going, and the Grizzlies with Mike Conley as a day-to-day. So there's still a chance of them being knocked out in the playoffs. But let's say they do make it as an 8th seed. Is DeMarcus Cousins really gonna re-sign to a team where they have two of the best big men in the league, but their ceiling is an 8th seed in the first round exit? I'm not too sure about that. So while I do think there's a chance DeMarcus can stay in New Orleans, I would, if I were to bet, and if I were to predict right now, I would bet on him leaving. And as far as where to, I think he may actually team up with John Wall and Bradley Beal in DC. Now I know the math is going to be pretty complicated. They'd have to dump Mahimi and Gortat and trade Otto Porter. But I do think if the Wizards got like some kind of verbal commitment from Boogie, like what the Rockets did with Chris Paul, I think that they would figure something out in order to position themselves to sign Boogie. And also, aside from Washington, the only other destination I could see Boogie in is maybe Houston. That would be really scary, teaming up with James Harden and Chris Paul, but that's about it. And last but not least, y'all knew he was coming. The King of Akron, LeBron James. And IB Souls, as of 11/20/2017, predict that LeBron James will indeed leave Cleveland for a second time. Here's why. Now, again, we're 7 months out. There's so much basketball to be played. Okay, this is just my prediction, okay? Just let me live, okay? Let me live. I don't see the Cleveland Cavaliers winning a championship this year. I'm not saying the Celtics are going to beat them. I'm saying if they go to the finals and if they face the Warriors will win. And this year to me is the last time the Cavs will be the clear-cut favorite to win the East, regardless of if LeBron stays or not. And it's not that LeBron is, it's not that LeBron's going to slow down after this season. I think it's the parts around him simply not being good enough, combined with the fact that I think that a couple teams in the East, notably the Boston Celtics, will just be flat out better than them after this year and the years moving forward, regardless of LeBron's decision. Now, once that happens, I think LeBron is smart enough to adapt to the curve and go against it. Now, many people are saying the Lakers and LeBronzo because of the lifestyle of LA and the business opportunities and how Lonzo makes his teammates better, which will benefit LeBron. First of all, let me talk about that whole business opportunity thing. This man grew up in Cleveland, still plays in Cleveland, has played in Cleveland for what, 11 years out of his 15 years in the league? He is arguably the most popular athlete in the world, one of the most polarizing public figures in the world. And you're telling me that he's going to LA simply because of business opportunities when he's the most popular athlete in America while living in Cleveland, Ohio? Okay, let's stop with that. Let's stop with that narrative, okay? Stop with the whole business opportunities thing. Other people are saying that the Spurs with Kawhi and Pop, as they're the best chance he has beating Golden State. I guess there's some merit to that. But like Chris Paul, I think there really is a concern that Greg Popovich may retire sooner than later. So I'm actually predicting this is coming from left field, all right? Whatever the phrase is, I don't watch baseball. This is coming from out of nowhere. And shout out to Dom, man. Shout out to Dom. He was one of the first ones to say this, or to predict this. But if LeBron is to leave, and I predict he is, he might go to Philly. Yes, the Philadelphia 76ers. Because I think the reasoning people were using with LeBron working with Lonzo because of his vision and his leadership and all of that applies to Ben Simmons 10 times better because of how Ben Simmons is already a bona fide star. Like 20 games into the season, you got guys calling him already the best point guard in the East. And I'm just like, you know what? I mean, low key. And him and LeBron already have a close relationship. And as far as putting himself in the best position to win multiple championships in the future, I think the 76ers may be his best option. This team is poised to be the premier team in the league after this Cavs and Warriors era officially ends, alongside the Boston Celtics and maybe the Milwaukee Bucks. And while the Warriors did come back from their lead a couple nights ago, you can see what kind of mismatch problems Embiid and Simmons can do to a team like Golden State, even short term, that I don't think any other team in the league can provide. And this is Ben Simmons and Embiid basically their first year together. And they're not even done because they have Markelle Fultz loading in the back. And people forget about Dario Saric, the runner-up for Rookie of the Year last year as well. And also they picked up, solid veterans this offseason in Amir Johnson and JJ Redick. And Robert Covington, man, he's becoming one of the best two-way players in the league. And one of the best role players. He's basically what Andre Roberson should be. Like the perfect version of Andre Roberson. And their coach, he's not the best. I don't think he's bad. He's not the best, but LeBron's used to not playing with elite coaches anyways. But if you combine both of LeBron and Ben Simmons' minds, combined with Embiid's raw talent and Markelle's ability to also be a superstar, this move right here could legitimately extend LeBron's career by 8 years, the same way Magic did for Kareem's. But with that being said, let me know what y'all think about all my predictions. I definitely know that last one is gonna catch some dislikes. But with that being said, let me know what y'all think about this whole video, and I'm out. Peace.